Yeah, it's really important to clean your dog's teeth. So, just as important as cleaning our own teeth, domestic dogs do need a bit of assistance. They're very far removed from their wild wolf counterparts nowadays, with different mouth shapes and different diets and things like that. So, the prevalence of dental disease is really, really high in dogs and cats. So they do need some assistance, and obviously they use the mouth so much more than just eating. And as anyone knows, if they've had a toothache, it can be very, very painful. There's no reason to think that our dogs won't suffer the same amount of pain when they get tooth problems, and also the fact that in the mouth that you've got a very good blood supply to all those teeth, so any infection or nastiness that's going on in the mouth has direct access to the bloodstream, and then that can actually affect their other organs within the body and make them feel generally unwell. So I did used to get, as a vet, every time you'd clean a dog's teeth, or very often you'd have the clients come back, the pet owners would report back a week or so later that their dog was like a new puppy again, and that's just because they had so much more energy, because they didn't have all this infection and nastiness going on in the mouth. So it's very important to be on top of that. Yeah, so the fundamental thing is there are a lot of options on the market now. So yes, a lot of people do use chews, and they do have a place because the chewing action is sometimes quite good depending on the chew that you pick. So always ask your vet or your vet nurse for recommendations, because there are certain chews that you shouldn't be giving your dog. Sometimes they can be a bit too hard and a bit dangerous. So if they can break your dog's tooth, if they can break your tooth, they can certainly break your dog's tooth. But yeah, so the chews don't do the whole job. They might work on the back teeth well, but you might need some other options for the rest of the mouth. And actually brushing is what we do want to aim for, because you're trying to remove that plaque layer, that fuzzy layer that you might feel on your teeth towards the end of the day. That's what we're aiming to remove. Brushing is the best way to do that, but obviously a lot of owners will struggle, and it depends on how compliant your pet is. But it's the aim to try and do a bit per day. But you can use more passive modes of dental cleaning, like water additives or sprays, which are generally a bit easier to use. And you can then try and scale up and add things on top of that, maybe brushing occasionally, or using things like dental wipes and chews as well. So that's the idea of our Plaqtiv range, really, is that there's an option to suit every pet owner and every pet, because every pet and every owner is different. So the first product we have is the water additive, which is here, and that's what we would call a passive product. So you would just stick that in the water bowl. It's flavourless. Most dogs wouldn't even know it was there, and that's doing the job. Just passively. Every time they drink it, it helps the mouth and helps to reduce that nastiness that's going on. It also is VOHC approved, and that stands for the Veterinary Oral Health Council. So it's important to look out for that little stamp of approval on products if you're looking at dental, because that's basically a guarantee that the product does something. It's been scientifically put through some tests, and also important that it's safe as well, because we want to make sure we're not doing any harm. So that's the water additive. That can stay there the whole time if your dog will accept that in the water. If not, or if they drink from puddles, we have the spray, which is a silent pump spray. Has the same ingredients in as does the rest of the Plaqtiv range, to help reduce plaque and tartar, and that just goes on either side of the mouth. You just lift the lip up and just spray it a couple of times on each side. Helps to freshen the breath and reduce anything going on there. We have wipes, which are the next step up. So these wipes are biodegradable. They have the Plaqtiv ingredients sort of sewn into them, impregnated in, and the idea is you would just wrap them around the finger, so it's a bit easier than brushing, but it does provide some abrasion against the plaque, so it's quite easy to get into those back teeth, especially in smaller dogs, and some dogs just don't like the brush actually, no matter how hard you try, or some owners just find it a bit difficult to handle the mouth and a brush at the same time. And then finally we have a toothpaste, so that's what we're trying to kind of escalate up to if we can, to try and do a bit per day with a little soft bristled brush ideally, and you would just pop that on the toothbrush as you would a normal toothpaste yourself. Obviously it's pet safe. You should never use human toothpaste on a pet because it can be toxic, and that's malt flavour, so it's really important as well to pick something that the dog enjoys the flavour of. So most dogs will like malt as a flavour, and also that's kind of acts like a reward for them and makes it a bit easier for you and them. It's more important to make it a game, make it something you enjoy. Obviously bring some high value treats to the whole process, and just start off really slowly. So if you go in all guns blazing with the toothbrush, trying to brush all the teeth with a toothpaste that's not familiar to them or tasty enough, then they will obviously back away and they won't enjoy the process. So you have to really start slowly, build up positive associations. Just start on the front teeth initially with a bit of toothpaste on your finger and get them to lick the toothpaste off your finger, get them used to having their mouth handled, and then just start by brushing the big canines at the front, and then adding a tooth per day very slowly, working towards the back. Finger brushes can be quite useful as well, just to help introduce them to the process. So those are little ones that just fit on your finger, and then eventually you want to try and kind of introduce a toothbrush, which you can just pick up a toothbrush on the shop, a soft bristled one, or you can get these pet toothbrushes which have a kind of double end. So the big end would be for the bigger back teeth, and then the little one might be for smaller kind of front teeth, or kind of the teeth down at the back there that you can't kind of reach as easily. So yeah, you just have to really find out what works for you and what works for your pet, because like I say, everybody's different. And if they start to kind of resent it, just kind of come a couple of steps back and then reintroduce gradually. Or maybe pick another product that day, maybe try a wipe instead of a brush if you're just struggling with the brushing. My dogs are different. I've got 2 cockapoos. One loves having his teeth brushed and one sometimes does, sometimes won't. So I might switch to something else that day for him. Yeah, so I'd start with the water additive. I mean, there's no reason, like I say, why that can't just stay in the water all the time. It's like us, we will brush our teeth, but we're also told by our dentist to floss, maybe use mouthwash at the same time. So, a combination approach can work really well. And if you have the water additive or the spray there on the days where you maybe don't have time to brush or you forget, then at least that's there doing its job. Like I say, we want to try and aim to be brushing because that's the best way of removing plaque on the teeth, and ideally try and aim for a minute per day, or at least every other day. If you're not doing it as often as that, then the benefits are less obvious from a scientific perspective. So try for every other day or every day, as we would our own. If we're doing a minute per day, that's 7 minutes a week. So, I kind of have my toothpaste and toothbrush by the telly. So when my dogs are sat next to me, I'll brush their teeth while I'm watching, a soap or something. So you can get more information on the products at dental.pet, and actually there is a lovely video on there for pet owners just to walk them through the process on how to brush teeth as well. So that's also worth checking out.